What's up, Catholic Millennial Crew? This week, there was a major Supreme Court case on abortion and free speech. Also, pro-life Democrat Deanna Pinsky defeated pro-choice absolutist Marie Newman in the Illinois District 3 Democratic primary. And NARAL and Planned Parenthood are not happy at all, and there aren't many things better than seeing Planned Parenthood and NARAL not happy. But the new GOP spending bill that passed both chambers of Congress and got signed into law by Trump doesn't touch a single penny of Planned Parenthood's taxpayer funding. They're still getting over $500 million a year. So if you are pro-life, the GOP played you for a fool. I'm Ryan Everson, and this is the Catholic Millennial Show. So first, let's start with the good news. So in Illinois District 3, the Democratic primary was this week on Tuesday, and pro-life Democrat Deanna Pinsky beat pro-choice absolutist Marie Newman, taking 51% of the vote. Tight race, but he won. And that's really exciting. That's huge, in fact. Here's why that's huge. Because right now, the GOP has the largest congressional majority since the 60s. And despite that, they still weren't able to pass the pain-capable bill, which was a very moderate compromise bill that only banned abortion after 20 weeks and even allowed exceptions for rape and other extenuating circumstances. And now the GOP seems to not even care to try to pass other more rational and more moderate pro-life measures, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Point being, the pro-life cause isn't going very much further if the pro-life Democrat movement dies. So if you've got, a pretty balanced two-party system like America has, and one party is 100% against your cause isn't going very far, at least not at the federal level. So the life and growth of the pro-life Democratic movement is crucial, and that's why Lipinski's victory is a really big deal. It is in the DNC's personal best interest to compromise their radical pro-choice policies, as I think this race shows. So hopefully it sends a message to the DNC establishment that they should support candidates who are pro-life, or at least candidates who take a middle ground position on abortion, drawing the line at 20 weeks or 12 weeks or something of the sort, rather than having over 90% of their politicians support taxpayer-funded abortion on demand for the entire 9 months of pregnancy. Also good news. So the Supreme Court case this week, NIFLA versus Becerra, seems to have gone pretty well. If you didn't catch the show last week, this is a case where the state of California is trying to force pro-life pregnancy centers to advertise for abortion. So the pro-life pregnancy centers would have to put abortion information in their waiting rooms. They'd have to put disclaimers with abortion information on any public advertising they do. And even if you throw away the abortion element of this argument, just throw that out for argument's sake, it's a terrible violation of freedom of speech. So the California government is trying to put greater restrictions on pro-life advertising than they put on tobacco and marijuana advertising. It doesn't really make much sense. But some reporters from the Family Policy Institute of Washington, who were in D.C. at the Supreme Court this week, and from the Alliance Defending Freedom, said that they thought the case went well. They said even some of the more liberal justices were not super happy with what California was trying to do. And one of the legal experts with the Family Policy Institute of Washington said he's predicting a 5-4 or 6-3 victory for NIFLA, for the pro-life position. And that decision will be officially announced in June, but that's good news in the meantime. Also this week, the governor of Idaho signed a bill that all women who take the RU-486 abortion pill must be told that there is a pill that reverses the effects of the RU-486 abortion pill, and that they can receive that pill if they have any regrets after taking the abortion pill. So unpack that. The RU-486 abortion pill blocks the production of progesterone in the mother's uterus, and as a result, the mother's uterine lining breaks down, which cuts off blood and nourishment to the baby, and as a result, the baby dies. However, you can reverse the effects of the RU-486 abortion pill if the woman takes a reversal pill that provides an excess of progesterone, which compensates for the progesterone that the abortion pill took away. I'll put a video to Live Action's, link to Live Action's video for the RU-486 abortion pill in the show notes. The abortion pill and the reversal pill. Point is, a lot of women experience regret after taking the abortion pill. A lot of women don't know that the reversal pill exists. So this law will ensure that all women, in Idaho at least, know that it exists, and as a consequence, this law is going to save lives, which is great. Idaho is now the 5th state to pass this law, joining South Dakota, Utah, Arkansas, and Arizona. Next, we have kind of a mixed bag of news. So I mentioned a couple weeks ago, both chambers of Congress in Mississippi passed a bill banning abortion after 15 weeks, which is super cool. Governor signed that bill into law this week, even more super cool, but then less than 24 hours after he signed it, the courts put a hold on it. So at the moment, that 15-week ban is still off. So here's what's probably going to happen. The lower courts in Mississippi will probably deliver a ruling in favor of the pro-life side because Mississippi is a very pro-life state. it's possible that after that, the abortion industry will try to present the case to the Supreme Court in D.C. If the Supreme Court declines the case, then the bill will go into law as it was written by the Mississippi state legislators. If the Supreme Court takes the case, then that could be a very important Supreme Court case that would establish at least a short-term precedent in terms of how much Roe versus Wade can be encroached upon. Right now, the earliest state abortion ban in the nation is 20 weeks, which is held by quite a few states, so that's fair game, but the Supreme Court could potentially rule that a 15-week ban is too early and quote-unquote unconstitutional, which would be bogus, but it's possible. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as it makes its way through the court system and see what happens. And now we have the terrible, terrible news of the week that really just puts a stop on all the good stuff that happened. So the GOP passed a $1.3 trillion spending bill. Congress passed it, and it was signed into law by Trump. So as I mentioned on the show last week, this bill was going to happen because Congress had to pass a new spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. And as I said last week, this is probably the last opportunity for Congress to pass a bill to take away Planned Parenthood's $500 million a year in taxpayer funding. And unfortunately, the bill does not do that. And PP's tax funding has been completely untouched, and pro-lifers have been ripped off by the GOP and Trump, and they've been ripping Trump and the GOP people for not doing this. We're ripping ever since the moment it happened on Friday morning. Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire wrote an article titled, quote, "The Republicans are still funding the abortion industry because they are cowardly buffoons." And Ben Shapiro called the bill the omnibus crap sandwich, which I think is pretty funny on point. But anyway, also part of the bill that didn't get done that we wanted to get done. Remember on the show a few weeks ago, we mentioned that the USCCB, United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, was calling for people to call their senators and their representatives to pass the Conscience Protection Act, which would require that no doctors could be forced by the government or forced by anyone else to do an abortion procedure if they don't want to. So that did not make it into the bill either. So basically nothing pro-life got thrown into this bill at all. So again, this week was probably the GOP's best possible opportunity to get these pro-life measures passed, and they didn't even really try. And that's not really surprising for the GOP to not even try to do this when this is what a bunch of people elected them for. Sometimes, when the case of Trump reluctantly elected them for, was for this one thing, and then it doesn't get done because Anyway, frankly, Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro are right. The Republicans in D.C. were cowardly buffoons this week. Actually, I forgot about this. So this is actually really funny. So, dank pro-life memes. If you're not following them on social media, you should. Dank pro-life memes put up a thing on Saturday. So you know how on Facebook you have your profile picture and you can put like the little filters and little things around your profile picture and stuff. So dank pro-life memes took a picture of Trump. If you're listening on podcast mode, you won't be able to see this, but you can look it up online. They put this picture of Trump and they put it through the pink "I stand with PP, I stand with Planned Parenthood" filter. So that was sad but pretty funny. And in other not so great news, the New Hampshire House passed a bill allowing pharmacists to give hormonal birth control to people without those people first having to consult a doctor. So this makes hormonal birth control more accessible to people, including underage teenagers, allowing them to have access to this without their parents even knowing, allowing them to use it for the typical birth control purposes, but also one of the reasons this is kind of odd is that a lot of people actually use birth control to treat acne and some other things that are completely unrelated to their reproductive process. But I would venture to say that buying birth control and shutting down your reproductive system, shutting down an entire system of your body for months, if not years on end, is probably not the best, healthiest way to treat your acne. I venture to say there's something better out there, but there's that. That wraps it up for this week. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you enjoy watching the show and if you enjoy the other Catholic Millennial content that we create, we'd be really, really appreciative if you can help support the web and podcast and design costs of everything we do by becoming a donor on Patreon. We've adjusted our Patreon reward levels now so that you become a patron for just $1 a month, as little as $1 a month. So if you're able to do that, we'd really, really appreciate it. Even just a little bit of money goes a long way, and we'd be super grateful for that. So thanks again for tuning in. Have a wonderful, blessed Holy Week, and we'll be back here with the Catholic Millennial Show next week for Easter. God bless.